America's anniversary celebration in the city known as the nation's birthplace. A smaller than expected crowd came out to watch Philadelphia's 4th of July fireworks display. That's because LL Cool J and Jasmine Sullivan canceled their musical performances in solidarity with striking city workers. While the party still went ahead, plans have been well underway for July 4th, 2026, now 364 days away. It's being billed as America's semi-quincentennial or 250th anniversary. That's a word we'll be hearing a lot of over the next year. Just as it was back in 1776, Philadelphia will be at the center of it all. More than 1 million people packed the streets of Philadelphia in February to celebrate the Eagles' Super Bowl victory. It was an event pulled together in just 2 days. For 2026, the city's been planning for years. That's because in addition to the nation's 250th, they've already got a full plate.
The 2026 All-Star Game has been awarded to the Philadelphia Phillies and the city of Philadelphia.
Next summer's MLB All-Star Game. 6 World Cup matches, the PGA Championship, and March Madness, culminating in a July 4th celebration city leaders insist will be like no other. So, tell me again, the U.S.
semi-quincentennial.
The U.S. semi-cinquentennial. Michael Numis is Philadelphia's director of all things 2026. Quincentennial.
Semi-half.
Semi-half.
Quincentennial, 500. This is half of 500. We're getting to 250 years. I mean, it's all hands on deck. Everyone's rolling up their sleeves, and we're ready.
Numis coordinated some of Philadelphia's biggest events of the last decade, including Pope Francis's 2015 visit, the 2016 Democratic National Convention, and the 2017 NFL Draft. He says the city's invested $120 million and is for projects both large and small.
You know, when you're talking about planning the nation's birthday for the nation's birthplace, it has to be epic, it has to be intimate, and everyone has to have a seat at the table. So we're putting it together by both looking at those national tentpole events that you mentioned, while also ensuring that we're spreading the spirit of celebration across all of our residents, all of our neighborhoods, and that work is actively underway.
An additional 500,000 out-of-town guests are expected as well. Catherine Ott-Lovell is president and CEO of Philadelphia's Visitor Center.
When I think about how much is going to happen in Philadelphia in 2026, everybody is doing something for 2026. Every museum is going to have a world-class exhibit. Every block is going to be having block parties and festivals. We're here in the most historic district in the country. We're going to have tons of people who visit here who want to see where American democracy started, where it was designed, where it was debated, and ultimately declared, right? It happened right here across the street.
It happened in the room right across.
That's right, the room where it happened.
So this is the first draft of the United States Constitution.
Some of that history will be on display at the Historical Society of Pennsylvania.
This is a unique printing of the Declaration. This is printed about 2 days before the Declaration is finalized.
Oh, really?
And so it's the only one that's known to survive.
Librarian and CEO David Brigham gave us a preview of the upcoming exhibit, Paths to Independence. How do you tell that story?
Well, that's what we love about this. You can tell it when you can see this, when you can see the struggle on the page. They're fighting over this. They're actually shouting at each other sometimes. They're of very different minds about, the differences between big states and small states, northern states and southern states.
I mean, we're still in conflict about that now.
A lot of these things are still with us, and that's why this matters. Our history follows us. Our history is our DNA. This is our national story.
We also got a history lesson on how Philadelphia marked the nation's 100th, 150th, and 200th birthdays, each of those milestones coming during politically perilous moments. The centennial in 1876, the scars of the Civil War still fresh and just months ahead of a disputed presidential election that led to the end of Reconstruction. 1926, coming in the wake of World War I and the Spanish flu pandemic. And in 1976, Vietnam and Watergate still on the minds of the American public. The bicentennial celebration even saw some protests in Philadelphia.
People protested during the bicentennial because not everybody felt included. In spite of the promise that all men are created equal, and if we can be generous and say all men and women are created equal. So, half the population felt, well, that document doesn't name me, it doesn't recognize me.
That's something 2026 organizers are already planning to avoid. People protested 76 because they said they didn't feel like they were a part of it.
That's not we're flipping the script on what a celebration can be.
How do you hope to encapsulate that feeling of brotherly love?
You can't lose sight of the reality that we do have some division, but you can't let that give us a reason to not celebrate all that brings us together. And in 2026 and 2025, that's exactly what we're going to do, bring people together.
We hope so. Well, we reached out to the mayor's office to see if the strike is impacting any of the 2026 plans. They tell us they're laser focused on coming to an agreement with the workers and at the same time working full speed ahead on 2026 preps. Now, you heard Michael mention events taking place in 2025. In October, Philadelphia will host a massive 250th anniversary celebration for the Navy and Marine Corps, which were both founded in Philadelphia, something I did not know. And next year, they'll also be marking the 50th anniversary of guess what movie?
Rocky.
Of course. And
run the steps, baby.
And there's going to be a lot of that going on,
Yeah.
I am sure, next year. It's just an iconic film for an iconic city at an iconic time. So looking forward to all of that. Hope you will be too.
And it is incredibly fun, actually, when you go do it. You can't help but smile. I loved the semi-quincentennial explanation. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that quincentennial was 500.
And
so
half.
once he said semi, then it's like, oh,
That
okay.
makes perfect sense.
Now I get it.
I
now,
was-
semi-quincentennial.
I was still
Rules
messing
of
it up. I'm
It's
messing
okay.
it up
You got
all
it now.
week.
You're good. You're good.
Semi-quincentennial.
There you go.